Welcome back to our homestead. We are a family of 10 living on 10 acres in northern Alberta. Recently, we tried the carnivore diet and we really love the way that we feel on the carnivore diet. We also have realized that the carnivore diet is something that we can produce in our harsh climate, as we have struggled for the past 7 years to grow our own food out here. We are still doing some gardens this year. I grow cut flowers. We've got some garlic and cold hardy things that we are able to grow. We also have a greenhouse that we spent a couple of years building, and this is a heated greenhouse, and it's cooled in the summertime. And I am growing flowers out here and strawberries and watermelon. Other than that, we are looking to produce our own foods through animals, so milk cows and beef cows, chickens, and eggs. I filmed a weekend on the homestead, and I filmed a couple of carnivore meals, as well as some gardening and a PlayDoh recipe. I know that's kind of a weird mix, but I hope you guys enjoy the video. I filmed this on a Saturday, and Saturdays are usually a bit of a leftover day for us. We have consumed all of the meals that we had planned for the week, and then we do our grocery shopping on Sunday. So for breakfast on Saturday, we started by going through the fridge and pulling out all of those random cuts of meat that we had. So we had ground beef and we had pork belly. Now we've been buying pork belly lately because we really love bacon, but we found that we were reacting to some of the ingredients in processed bacon. We haven't been able to find a clean bacon, so we decided to buy pork belly. It's just a big slab of it, and season it with some salt and bake that, and then slice it up, and we will fry that for breakfast, and we'll add it to eggs, or we'll fry it up at supper time and add it to cheeseburgers. And it has a lot of fat and nutrients in it. It's really delicious. So for this meal, we just cut up those bits of meat that we had left over, put it in a dish and baked it, and then added some eggs for a big quiche. And some of the family members did some yogurt with it, and my little kids like to have some milk with their meals as well. So that's what we did for breakfast on Saturday. After that, we made some Play-Doh because we have a lot of flour left over from when I was making sourdough bread. We decided to do gluten-free, and so I put all the flour away, and then after we tried some gluten-free and we were feeling better on gluten-free, we decided to go a step further and go low carb. And once we did low carb, we went a step further and tried carnivore. Now that we've been doing carnivore for a few months now and feeling so good on it, we really don't want to add bread back into our diet. Making Play-Doh is something I've really enjoyed doing with my children over the years, and it's something I did with my older kids when they were younger, and I haven't really done it a whole lot with my younger kids. So I'm basically just filming what we had going on Saturday, and this was one of those things. So I thought I would share it for any viewers that, any, excuse me, moms that might want to make this summer. It's just a really fun, easy thing to make with your kids, and then they're not playing with like commercial Play-Doh. I used to sometimes buy commercial Play-Doh, and when my kids would play with it, Geoff would get migraines. So just the smells from it, and then of course it's got all the dyes and things in it, and we know that we absorb, toxins and things, through our skin. So it's probably not great to be using, like little kids using regular Play-Doh. So as we move towards a more clean lifestyle, it's even things like this that I'm really enjoying learning how to make and doing for my kids. And it's also a lot of fun because then my kids get to help me and they get to be a part of the process of it. And also it does not give any of us headaches. It doesn't give Geoff headaches, because for a while we had to stop using Play-Doh for that reason. So we had a birthday party to go to, and I wanted to make a gift and then make some extra for my kids to play with. And we are sensitive to food dyes. You could do this Play-Doh. By the way, the recipe I will have in the description. I'll just write it out for anybody. You could do like a little screenshot of it and then make this if you wanted to. But we're pretty sensitive to food dyes, so we don't eat food dyes. But I did find these Watkins Food Dyes, and they're natural food dyes, and they're also not that expensive. I think it was $10 for that box, compared to another food dye that I used to buy, which is this Color Garden food dye, and those are really natural. There's nothing, it's all, like, I guess, food derived colors. But that box is $15, so that's really expensive. So I was really glad to find the Watkins Food Dye. Also, it's in the little bottles, so I can reuse it, whereas the other food dye, you open it and you only get to use it once. So for $15, that was kind of expensive. So I did use Watkins. I think it has a couple of ingredients in it that aren't fully natural. They're synthetic, but it at least doesn't have, yellow lake or however they, it doesn't have synthetic food dyes in it, basically. So we use Watkins Food Dye, and I can put a link to that in the description for anyone who might be interested to source that. I think I just found it on Amazon. And it's just a really fun recipe. It's just salt and flour, water, cream of tartar, some coconut oil, and it's so easy to make, and you just cook it up on the stove. It makes a huge mess, and it seems like it won't come together, but eventually it does come all together. And then you just start molding it, and we added some essential oils to it, and then of course these food coloring, and it turned out really great. So that was a fun Saturday morning activity for us. Okay, so something else that we had over the weekend. This is our May long weekend, and this is when everybody in our area gets their gardens in. Normally it's a mad rush to get everything in because we have such a short growing season. But eating carnivore this year, I am not doing that. I am not stressing about it. We've spent 7 years clearing this area. This area used to all be completely treed, and we've spent 7 years clearing it and digging up the stumps and bringing in mulch and soil and manure and trying to basically create a little microclimate over here. We've got a lot of fruit trees established. We've got some apple trees and apricot trees that are hardy to our zone over there. And I'm also putting in strawberries because strawberries do really well here. So I am still gardening, and I suppose maybe that will mean that at points in the season we're considered omnivore because I would like to eat fresh strawberries. My kids also like to collect spruce tips because we make tea with the spruce tips, and we'll probably continue drinking the various teas that we harvest on our property, because we have felt that drinking spruce tip tea, for example, which is really high in vitamin C, helps us out when we have colds. Making a nice hot cup of tea and putting in a little bit of honey. We also have a greenhouse that we have spent about 3 years now building, and it's a year-round greenhouse. So in the winter, it's heated with an outdoor wood boiler. That's also how we heat our home and our water and the outdoor shop that we built. That greenhouse is also then cooled in the summer. So I can grow things in that greenhouse that I cannot grow out here. So I've got a lot of cut flowers, watermelon, strawberries, things like that growing between the greenhouse and the garden. And I will take my cut flowers to markets and sell them. And I really enjoy doing that. And it's also a little bit of a source of income for our homestead. But ultimately, our goal is to set our homestead up and develop the land so that we can raise animals and continue eating the carnivore diet. Because I think even if I could get all of those things that I want to grow abundantly in our garden growing, I would still want to eat meat and fat, because eating meat and fat has felt very nourishing to me. And we have tried vegan and vegetarian. We've always eaten a pretty clean lifestyle, a pretty clean way of eating, because we really do value our health. And so I would say, coming from that experience, coming from that background, it's not like we're coming from a processed food diet and then just eating meat. We're actually coming from a pretty clean background way of eating. and we're still feeling just a complete 180 in our energy, mental clarity, digestion, even just aches and pains. I think very early on I was already starting to get like kind of arthritic pain in my joints, and I'm 39 and I don't have that, but I know I had it back even in my 20s. And I just think that this diet is such a great recovery diet. If you have a very physical lifestyle, if you have a lot of physical work that you're doing, it's just such a great way to eat and recover. So I just filmed a little bit of our food prep. We take all of our fresh meat that we buy and we get it right into the oven cooking. And any frozen stuff will go in the freezer, and we'll pull that out later on throughout the week. And while this stuff was cooking, then we just went back outside and did some more chores. I just have up in a couple of minutes here. I was taking care of the chickens and setting a hen up with some hatching eggs. But I do plan to share a more focused video on what we buy every week, how we bring that home and cook it for our family of 10, and then how we use that food throughout the week. Just for anyone who might be interested, I just want to share it from a large family perspective. I want to share what I was looking for when we first started eating carnivore. And I know there's a ton of perspectives out there. I just haven't really found one quite like what we were looking for. And honestly, you might not find it in my videos, or it might help you as you find your own perspective, because I think that's really important, is to find your own way of doing this. Obviously, that's going to serve you a lot better. So anyway, this is the final meal. We had some delicious, crispy, fatty chicken thighs with a bunch of cheese, and then my girls made some tea, and I just let them make their summertime teas as they want. And then this is the fat left over. That's something we do. We save all the fat so that we can consume our butter, and we're not using butter to cook. So we're using a lot of tallow and lard, and we're saving it from each meal, and that has helped so much with cooking eggs and things like that, and not having to use as much butter. It just helps financially, and it's also just really good for you. So I'm gonna go ahead and end here. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to comment with ideas. Thanks for joining us.